Hello, my name is John Didi, professor of political science at the community colleges of Baltimore County and local political media analyst. Welcome to the Maryland State Politics and Government podcast on Substack. Today, I am talking with a candidate for the Maryland State Senate in the 40th District, Steven Messmer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
My first question is, why are you running?
Yeah, thanks. So I'd say first is my faith, that I believe that Jesus died for me and that he calls me to love others as he's loved me. So it's really my purpose, especially for those that lack power to take care of themselves in our system. I'd say second thing is that in my job and in my neighborhood, that I really see a lot of poverty and ways that the law fails to really take care of low-income people. And I can give you many examples of that. And then the third part is that I think I particularly am equipped to fix these problems. That I'm a lawyer, so I'm trained in the law, so I'm particularly equipped to make laws. And then I'd say um, that I'm very bright. I'm very good at learning. That For undergrad and for law school, I got a full ride. Um, that I'm very good at learning, which there's a lot to know, in the all the systems of state government. Um, say that that's my pitch.
You work for the Maryland Volunteer Legal Services. Tell me about some of the stuff you do in that job that may kind of appeal to voters to say this is the type of guy we want in the state Senate.
So I work for a nonprofit, so we do legal services for lower income people for free. Um, the things I work on are like helping people inherit the family home. But often, because the system is just so complicated, and that can be a little expensive, people just kind of leave their home in the name of somebody who's still deceased. And that causes all kinds of legal kind of vulnerabilities. So we're really trying to help the person pass down the home for their own family stability and also, to help the community. Because often these people, in a lot of cases, end up losing their house, which is a lot of wealth and stability. Um, so I'd say the reason why that makes me qualified to run is that one, that I'm showing that I'm here to serve. I'm not making that much money compared to what I could be making somewhere else. And then two, like I'm really in the weeds of what the law is doing on the ground, especially for the people with the least.
My next question is, what do you think the number one issue in the campaign is really?
Um, um, for me, the biggest issue that I'm going to run on is tax sale. Um, that this is, this is the tax sale is the way that the local government enforces property taxes. That if you don't pay it for a certain amount of time, then they threaten to take your house. But the way it's set up is really predatory. That it really gives all the profit to these private companies that really aren't providing any service, and then charges just insane fees to the homeowners that are delinquent, or else they lose their house. So in almost all cases, they end up paying off the debt with all the fees, but it's really egregious the level of really punishment that these homeowners are facing, at the for the profit of lawyers and these investors, um, and it's convenient for the government, but that's really the only benefit.
One of the big issues, and you talked about homeowners. and this is something that I'm really concerned about right now. That is the rising energy costs and their BG&E bills. What do you think should be done to help people?
Um, um, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, it's a complicated system of issues that I wouldn't say I really understand. Yeah, but I was reading one article about, why are the energy prices so high? And I think the biggest takeaway I had was that I really don't understand our energy system, like about electricity and like how it's really over, entire regions are regulated and it's really, like a lot by the federal government. Um, so yeah, so I won't um
My next question is when you think of political figures that you admire from the past, who are kind of your North Stars or people in politics that you really would like to walk in their footsteps or take after them in a little bit?
um yeah, I mean I yeah, I would say like Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. I mean, which I think has a lot to say for our current moment. That I think on both sides, I think people are willing to kind of um, they think the way to do it is to fight, to fight the other side, that the other side is the enemy. But like Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement is really about fighting hate with love. They're fighting power with, in some sense, submission, to fight strength with weakness, um, and to just operate with humility towards even those that are really wrong. I think that's just a posture that's really missing in our moment.
My next question is one of the big issues in the state of Maryland is the state budget and this long-term structural deficit situation. What items in the budget would you cut if you could take a red pen and say, don't need that anymore?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think long term, I think we really have to look at Medicaid. I mean, just think about ways that maybe we can make it. I mean, it's just the biggest part of the budget, and it's really squeezing out a lot of other things. And especially, um, if we want the future to look bright, you have to invest that money in education. That those things will reap benefits for decades. And Medicaid is good, but um, it's really not the best in terms of, like it's extremely generous if you're on it. Um, but seeing if, like it could be more tapered, like it's instead of being you either qualify 100% for everything all the time, or you qualify none, like instead be have more Medicaid just for the lowest, and then some sort of, healthcare subsidies that taper off, for the middle income. Um, and I think just looking at the budget, I mean, that's where you have to look for the big money.
I can agree with you on that. I think, right now, I think currently 1 in 4 Marylanders is on Medicaid, and that can be a financial burden for taxpayers. And how to deal with that is something that at times people want to avoid more than dive in on.
Yeah.
My last question I'm going to ask today is One of the big issues that people have been talking a lot about is ICE. What do you think the role of ICE should be in Maryland? How do you think they should be doing their job here?
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I mean, certainly ICE has a purpose and a place, um, but it has to be, they have to do their job in a way that respects everyone's rights, that respects the value of human life, um, which isn't how they've always been operating. Um, um, yeah, and I would say that it is a problem when the local government is cooperating with ICE because we need, undocumented immigrants to cooperate with the police, to come forward with crimes, and if they're afraid of immigration action, then they don't, and everyone is less safe. Um, so those are my two thoughts.
The last thing I'll ask is what would you do differently as a state senator that the current incumbent Antonio Hayes isn't doing now?
Yeah, I think I mean I would say the smarter solutions. But there are a lot of problems in our state that I see that are very complicated. There are some reasons why it stays the status quo. Somebody's interested in keeping it the same. Um, and so you need someone who has the expertise to find the right solution and the political will to push for it, even though there's going to be some political costs, um, like tax sale, um, and like the inheritance tax. Um, yeah.
I want to thank you again for taking this time this morning to talk with me and take care and good luck on the campaign trail.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome.
Have a good day. Bye.